All right, what's going on, guys? I want to discuss some mods that I have done to my truck recently, and they've all dramatically improved the way that this truck runs and drives. So, if you don't know, a while back I had purchased a few things for it. I did an install video of me doing the 6637 air intake. I had also replaced the ICP, the injection control pressure sensor, I think it's called, or something. And I also did the CPS, which is the cam position sensor. I did the fuel rail crossover from Riff Raff called the FRX. And I also did the high pressure oil crossover, which is called the HPX, I believe it is. So I did a few engine mods to this thing to help improve, to just overall just help improve reliability, improve the way it runs, sounds, just did some trying to overall improvements on it. Now I'm going to discuss, I'll discuss all of them, but one of them is still, I'm still testing. So I don't want to really give you a full review on it, but the other ones I 100% can tell you my my complete honesty on it. We'll start with the first thing that I installed. Let me pop the hood so you can kind of see like what I'm talking about here. But the first thing that I installed on this before anything else was the Donaldson 6637 air intake. If you go to Napa, you can get this filter. I got this one off of Riff Raff. I got the blue filter. It's supposed to let in a little bit more air, I guess, but filter the same. I don't know, whatever. I got the blue filter. That's just what I used. And I will say this 100% is it's a must for these trucks. If you don't get this filter in particular, you want to get like a more expensive one, like a nice cold air intake, like an S&B or something, that's fine, go ahead and do that. But for the price that you get with this, it is across the board better. I mean, I literally got an extra mile per gallon, and I'm not even joking. I got like an extra mile per gallon just by adding that air filter. It helped my fuel economy a lot. I haven't really noticed the truck seems quicker, maybe a little bit peppier with it in there, maybe slightly. Not really too much that you can feel, I'd say it's about the same. It's been on there for a while, so I kind of don't remember how it felt before, but maybe it feels a little bit better with it on there. It definitely sounds, though, 100% better. It's also going to filter better, at least in my opinion. I think this is going to filter better than the factory one. Yeah, the factory one's more closed off, but this one is a much, much bigger filter. So, I don't know. I think it filters better. This is an accessory you can add on here, which I did. It's like a little netting to help, keep even more dirt out of the filter. So I'd 100% recommend this. This is a really great upgrade for your Powerstroke. Now the number two thing that I have done, if I even remember where it is, yes I do, is right down here. I did the ICP, the injection control pressure sensor. If you don't know, that it affects how much, I don't know, I guess the pressures. These trucks are a Huey system, so it runs off a high pressure oil. So if the high pressure oil system's not running right, like it's not functioning properly, the truck is not going to run right, because that's literally how it runs. It runs off of oil. So if your pressures aren't right, if the pressures are too low or too high, it's not going to make your truck run right. You can have I believe you can have, not a no start. It's not the no start. I honestly, I don't remember the signs of the ICP. I thought that I potentially had an ICP problem, because I noticed when I went down the road and I gave it like just slight throttle, I'd see my like gas like the truck would kind of like not hesitate, but it would like kind of go up and down with like the throttle. It's almost like I was like hitting the gas very slightly, like up and down, but in reality I was just keeping my foot on the pedal. I noticed that the truck would do that, and that's why I thought I may have a bad ICP. So before I bought everything, I pulled the little plug out, like the little tab, the connector that clicks on, and I noticed that it had some oil on it, because high pressure oil runs through that sensor. It runs through that you know, system there. So when the seals go bad in it, it starts shooting onto the plug right here, and you know, you're gonna start getting a bad connection, which is, I'm pretty sure, what I had, because as soon as I installed that, the truck does not do that anymore. If I keep my foot on the gas, it stays as, you know, nice and smooth throughout the entire, you know, the entire driving. So that definitely improved my truck a lot. It wasn't like, I don't think I needed to do that because my truck still ran really good, but that definitely improved my truck. I noticed that it was like, not quite as like I said, like it wasn't quite as like, it seems just much more consistent with, you know, driving. Like the throttle response is much more consistent. Now another thing that I can't speak today. Another thing that I have done to this truck is, I don't know if you'll be able to see this one, guys. If I can try to get you up in here, all the way up there, that little metal piece that's sticking out, the little metal bracket by the pulley, if you can see it. I did the CPS, the cam position sensor. Now these trucks are extremely picky on what cam position sensor you put in here. Do not use aftermarket ones, don't use O'Reilly's, any of that stuff. Make sure you're using OEM Ford Motorcraft cam position sensors. Now there's 3 different ones that are out there from Motorcraft. There's the original OEM, like the first one, black, which is the solid black CPS. I forget why they stopped making those. You can still get them, like, you know, NOS, but they're really expensive. They stopped with those because apparently they would just stop functioning out of nowhere or something. I don't know exactly why they discontinued that specific one. I don't remember what I read online. But then they came out with the revised, you know, quote unquote, revised CPS, and it was a gray CPS. And now it's supposed to help the issues that the black one had. But in reality, it actually really didn't help all that much. It actually kind of made some trucks run a little bit rougher. The CPS is like detrimental to these trucks. If like your CPS fails, it will leave you stranded on the side of the road. In fact, I have my old one because it still worked. So I will show you what the old, why is there glasses in here? I will show you my old CPS, which is, you know, right here. You can see I have the gray one that was in my truck. That's what was in here. So the guy that owned this before me, he must have, because it was a recall, so he must have gone to the dealership and had them do the recall on it, to do the black, not the black, the gray CPS. Alright. And the newest version that they have out, which is the one that I put into this truck, is like a darkish blue, purplish color. If you want, I'll put down all the, I guess I'll put all the part numbers for everything that I did in this video, even though I think I've already done it in my last video, but I'll put all the part numbers in. It helped the truck. I don't think it made my truck a night and day difference better, but I would say it definitely improved it a little tiny bit. I noticed that it like started a little bit easier and it was slightly smoother at idle. If you had me go in a truck and I was blindfolded and you asked me which one's what, I'll be honest, I don't know if I'd be able to tell, but for the price you pay for the new revised version, I think it's worth it. I paid like $40 something for it. The CPS has like a magnet on the inside, and that's how it affects the way it runs. I don't know, they changed the magnet in the purple / like dark blue one, which is what I got. But I'd say it helped it a little bit. It's hard to give you an exact, this did this and this to my truck because I installed everything all at the same exact time, besides this. But I can definitely tell you the ICP definitely improved my throttle, and I can 100% tell you that this improved my fuel economy. It's not even a question. For the CPS, I can't give you a definite answer, but I would say, in my opinion, it is worth changing, because it definitely didn't hurt my truck. It feels, I don't know, it felt like it started a little bit quicker when I put that in, and it felt like it, I don't know, ran a slightly smoother. Now, one thing, another mod that I did that I can definitely tell you improved the idle quality is, if we can even see it, is this right back in here. You can see this line right here, this line right over here. That is the HPX, the high pressure oil crossover line. Now I installed that. What that's supposed to do is help your idle. Because what my truck would do when it would sit at idle, if I still have a clip, I think I have a clip either on my GoPro or on my phone of it doing it. I'll show you. I'll insert it here if I have it. If I don't have it, then you're not watching it. Watching it, but you would actually see my idle like go, like you'd see it like slowly go back and forth from like whatever the RPM is, like I don't even know where it idles at like 700 to like 600 RPM, I think it's about. Yeah, maybe from like 6 to 700 you would notice the RPMs go back and forth. After I installed that high pressure oil, I noticed that it was much smoother. It stays at very nice, consistent, idle RPM. So that is definitely a recommend mod. I would definitely do that. For the price you pay for it, I think it was like 80 bucks. I think it's worth it. It's also supposed to help your injectors with like the oil pressure. It's supposed to just keep your overall oil pressure system just functioning more smoothly. So like I mentioned before, the high pressure oil is very important to these motors. This motor won't even run without motor oil. So I would definitely recommend doing that. And the last mod that I did to this, that I can't really give you a full review on yet because I'm still trying to learn it and see if it actually is a benefit. Oh, I kind of don't like that. I gotta move that or something. Okay. Is when I'm kind of finagling it right now, you might not be able to see it. It's these right here, these lines, these two adapters right down here. I'll try to get on the other side. Maybe it's easier to see on the other side. But it's called the FRX, the fuel rail crossover. I don't know if you'll be able to see it over here. I guess you kind of can, but it's that right down there. That's called the fuel rail crossover. If you don't know these trucks, when the injectors are firing off, generally the number 8 injector in the back gets starved of fuel, because 7 and 8, I believe, they fire right after each other. So it goes 7 and then it goes number 8, and the number 8 gets starved of fuel pretty much, and it gets air in the system, and you get like a crackling sound. Like there's times where this truck would be sitting at idle when it was warmer. It generally did it when it was warm. It would sit, and I would notice like a cluck, 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 cluck. Like you can't necessarily replicate the noise unless you heard it. It almost sounds like engine knocking, kind of. And it's that injector getting air in the line. So what you do to combat that is the fuel rail crossover. What that does is it gives the air somewhere to go. Now in the kit, it It also comes with a fuel pressure spring. You can either increase your fuel pressure or keep it stock. I increased the fuel pressure a little bit. And I will say for sure, this mod definitely helped with the crackle. Every now and then I notice I will get a little bit of crackle. But I don't know if it's because I'm having an issue with the way that I installed it, or it's just not going to fully help the issue that I have, you know, with the crackle. Apparently the early 99 trucks, which is what I have, get the crackle worse than the, you know, later style 7.3 trucks. So I may not be able to like fully eliminate it. I may always have some type of crackle. But the one issue I'm having with this, you know, modification, and I know it's this because I installed this one like a month after I did everything else, is I've noticed, oh, and FYI, these mods have been on here for probably close to 2 months now. So, you know, I have some time being, you know, behind the wheel with these. Besides the fuel rail crossover, that I've only had maybe a couple weeks. But I've noticed that I've lost fuel economy after installing the FRX. And I'm really surprised that I'd be losing fuel economy, because it doesn't really affect, it shouldn't affect your fuel economy. It's just not really like something that is contributing towards that. So I called them up, I called up Riff Raff, and I told them I installed it, and I noticed that my fuel economy has gone down. You know, what could it be? And he said, I believe I spoke to Clay, I think it was. They're very helpful, by the way. If you ever want to order from Riff Raff, they're very helpful. You know, he said the only thing that it may possibly be is the spring that connects over here, like the line that I was trying to show you before. It's underneath here. There's like a spring that, you know, attaches to like the fuel bowl. He said if that's like crooked or on an angle, you know, it could affect your fuel economy. He said the fuel pressure in these is very important. So unfortunately I don't have a fuel pressure gauge. I eventually want to, you know, get gauges set up in here so I know exactly what's going on, but I don't have that right now, unfortunately. So what I'm going to do is I bought a rebuild kit for it, because I also lost the washer that goes with the FRX, and I had to go to the parts store and make my own washer. Well, when I tried to take it apart again to check the spring, the washer was all like cracked and like ripping. So I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna buy a new kit. It was like 30 bucks or something. It comes with new springs, new washer. So in case I, you know, bent the spring or I damaged it, whatever, you know, I'll have a brand new one. I'm gonna have a shop install it. What I'm gonna do is have a shop just reinstall the spring and the washer, and I'm gonna have them check the fuel pressure. These trucks, depending on what spring you run, should run anywhere for, I believe, from like 50 psi to like 70 psi. The spring that I had is supposed to run right around like 60 to 65, I think. The black spring is supposed to be like 65 to 75 psi. I think those are the pressures, if I remember correctly. So who knows? Maybe I installed the spring wrong or something, and that's why I've lost some fuel economy. But I will say it smoothed my truck out by quite a bit. I don't have to give it like as much gas to get the same throttle response. I've noticed that it has like, it seems like it has more lower end power. I don't know, it definitely smoothed out my truck. I 100% noticed, because after I installed it, I could tell that my truck was just more responsive. It didn't seem quite as like laggy. It felt like it always had like power all the time. It felt good on power, it didn't feel bad, but like I noticed it just made it a little bit more like, a little bit more precise. And it definitely quieted the motor down quite a bit. In fact, my dad, you know, he rode in the truck, you know, a month ago, whatever. And then after I installed that, he rode in the truck again. He's like, wow, he's like, this truck seems quieter. And I told him, I was like, yeah, it's because I installed the FRX. I installed that, you know, the new lines on here. So, you know, he even noticed that the truck ran a little bit like quieter. And I can definitely contest. Like when I'm driving down the road now, I don't like just hear straight motor. In fact, most of the noise that I hear now is coming from my tires. So I'm going to make a future video on that, a specific video just relating to see if, you know, if it's something that I installed wrong that's affecting my fuel economy, what exactly the deal is, but I don't know. I'm linking it to that. I think that's my issue. So if you guys have some fuel economy tips, you know, let me know down below, because I've been trying to do every mod that I possibly can to help increase fuel economy. The CPS is supposed to help my fuel economy, and I haven't really noticed too much of a difference. Maybe like 0.3 miles per gallon of that. So all right, well, that's it, guys. Those are all the mods that I did, and I highly recommend all of them. Even the FRX, I would still recommend it, even though I'm still going through the trial on it. I'm still trying to learn, you know, if I'm losing fuel economy or not. But I will say it definitely smoothed out the truck quite a bit, and it made it quieter. It really made my truck feel like a brand new truck. Like it I don't know, I can't explain it. After I installed everything, it didn't even feel like an old, you know, an old international Powerstroke. It felt like a new modern diesel. That's what it felt like to me, because I've ridden the new diesels, and you know, they're really quick and they're responsive and stuff. This isn't really quick, you know, it's still slow, but I will say it's like much more responsive, and it's definitely quieter. I like that it's loud, that's not an issue, but I could definitely tell the motor isn't quite as like knocky sounding and loud, you know, like the injectors are loud, and like I said, they get that like the crackle, and it sounds like the motor's knocking. They're just kind of like loud and clunky, as all these mods definitely made it more smoother and refined. So I don't know, if you guys have a 7.3 and you're looking to improve the ride quality on it, you know, how it sounds and stuff, obviously exhaust will change your sound, but like improve the smoothness of the engine, I definitely recommend all these mods. I have no complaints with any of them. I don't even have a complaint with the FRX. It's just I'm kind of upset that I've lost some fuel economy. You know, I got to kind of track down what exactly is causing that. So, all right, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. I will see you in the next one, and take care. Just another quick disclaimer too, I just thought of. I also have a chip in this truck. I have the Hydra chip. So I don't know if these mods are going to affect your truck differently if you have it stock. You know, I'm running all these mods with the tuner on there. So I'm just going to assume you're still going to have all the same improvements with your truck that I'm having, whether it's stock or modified. But I don't know, I am running the PHP Hydra chip, and I've been using the 100 horsepower tune, the 100 like street tune. That's what I run. So quick little disclaimer, that's what I use. So those are the results that I have with that specific, you know, brand tuner and tune. All right.